This is the Mendon Select Board, and we will call the meeting to order at 5:35. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And do we have anything to add to the agenda? We will change under business.
Can I just, the date is wrong on the agenda that I got. It's 2024.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. I wouldn't have noticed that. So under business, letter A, certificate of highway mileage, we will switch with letter D. The carving studio bench project will be letter A. Anything to delete? Moving on to administrative matters. Signing of orders. We will be in the office signing them if we haven't already. I make a motion to approve the orders for 12/18/23 for the amount of $14,992.86, and for January 8th to 2024 for $24,281.25. Payroll. Okay, and I'll make a motion to approve the payroll for $14,632.66 for the week of December 26, 2023, and for $14,665.16 for the week of January 8th, 2024.
I second those.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the approval of the minutes for November 13th, 2023 and December 11th, 2023. Did we have full select board at both of those? I could dig for them. Can Lisa and I approve those?
I wasn't, the November 13th one, I was not there for. I believe Seth had to approve that one.
Okay.
And the 12th minutes, the minutes for December 11th, I didn't get them unless they came and I missed them. If somebody wants to send them now, I'll look at them now.
Okay.
So
just table those?
Yeah, until Seth jumps on, maybe we could just table both of those.
Sure. Moving on to announcements. Do we have any announcements? I do not have any announcements.
We don't have any announcements, but we do have a high wind warning that's issued for tomorrow evening, so caution should be taken by anybody traveling.
Thank you. And we have public comment, 2 minutes per person. Public comment is open, and please state your name before. Thank you. Any hands?
Yep, we have a hand online for Carol and Brian Gates.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Carol Gates, and Brian's going to go separate. According to an article published in the Rutland Herald on December 15th, it has Val Taylor quoted as saying, "Under the advice from town council," and we're looking to know who the town council is. Is it a group or is it just one person? And where and when did that meeting take place and who was present? In June of 2021, there was a policy regarding conflicts of interest and a code of ethics for town officials and staff. And that was removed and replaced with a policy regarding conflicts of interest and a purchasing policy only. And then in June of 2023, a code of conduct was put in place, but it was just for visitors. And in this code of conduct, it states that any form of fraudulent speech or obscenity is prohibited. And this is signed by all of the select board members, Val, Seth, and Lisa. According to the same article in the Rutland Herald, Mr. Whitcomb states that the Vermont State Police had not received any complaints or threats and were not aware of any investigation that Val was talking about. The Rutland County Sheriff was told by the town that the state police were investigating and only to be present at the town office on Monday and Wednesdays from 9 to 3, and the money was coming out of the Highway Safety Fund. If anyone was threatened on or off town property, the proper authorities should be notified, not select board members or town staff. Those are nothing more than rumors and innuendos and lies. When accusations are made, the accused deserves due process under the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. What the select board in the town is doing is facilitating more lies and innuendos by certain, in particular, members of this community. Now there is money paid by taxpayers in Mendon for the safety and the protection of everyone in the community that are being diverted to protect a few members of town staff. The public deserves to know why. Thank you.
Brian, do you have anything to say?
Sure.
No?
Yeah. Can you tell us what the council was, Val?
Can you tell us who the
Can you
town-
tell me who the town council you were referring to was?
Sarah, who was the town council, please?
Attorney Matt Bloomer.
Thank you.
When and where did it meet?
When and where was the meeting? And where was it published?
We didn't have a meeting.
We had email correspondence.
We would like a copy of that, please.
Like a copy of that, please.
Of course.
And wouldn't that conflict of interest include you as well, Val? So wouldn't that mean that
Hey, Brian?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah.
Do you know what I want?
What do you want?
I would like an apology for the words that come out of your mouth.
I'd like an apology. I'd like an
Before
apology. I'd like
you
an
start
apology
accusing
for
me of
stopping my
anything.
construction. I'd like an apology for not having my appellants never paid for an appeal here.
You have 1 minute. Make it good, Brian.
Yep. Well, I'll say it again. The town held a hearing without payment.
That's
Which was-
over.
No, it isn't over. You owe me a bunch of money because you stopped construction without proper
You owe us an apology.
procedure.
Stop
I'm not gonna-
interrupting him.
Yeah, you owe
This
me
is
an
his
apology.
public comment, Val.
I don't owe you
Stop
shit.
interrupting him.
Yep. Hey,
Start over.
start over. I want my 2 minutes again.
Your time's is up.
Yeah,
No,
I figured
it's not.
that.
You interrupted him the whole time.
You
Yeah.
interrupted
And
him.
when and where did he make any kind of, when did Brian say anything to you? When did he call you anything? I want to know
He
when
didn't call me anything.
and I want the video of it.
Why
and
am
when
I
he did it.
apologizing? What am I apologizing for?
Why should
For
he?
you
Oh my
screwing
gosh.
me over?
Your time is
for the
up.
last
Can we
3
press
months?
mute? Do we have a mute button? Thank you. Moving on.
The next order of
Oh.
business, Val, is the carving studio
Carving
bench
studio.
project.
I have my hand up. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was another hand raised under public comments. Sorry about that.
That's okay. My name's Donna Stanley. I'm a resident of Mendon. I was just interested in what was going on with all the news articles and everything. And what really sparked my attention was the money coming from the highway fund, since Mendon does oversee like probably the most dangerous highway in the state, or one of the most dangerous at this point. So I was kind of just curious. I mean, if you don't have answers, you don't have answers, but how much money was going to come from the highway fund, and the funding that's going to go to, I think it's the sheriff will get paid to be at the town when business is happening at the town. So I was just curious about that. And as a resident, I am paying for the town offices to be heated and the lights to be on and all that jazz. So I was just curious if there was a plan for when it was gonna reopen. yeah, and with my own, just interest in that, since I've been a resident for 15 plus years. I've owned a house here for that long, and I haven't really been interested in local politics till now, but the pot seems to be stirred. So, here I am just to kind of see what's going on. So yeah, that's all I'm here for. I might sit in on the next few meetings. I was kind of disappointed that the last one was canceled 2 hours before without much notice. It was pretty hard to find the meeting, even link for this. I ended up in the other meeting because that's the one that was posted on Facebook. So yeah, I just a citizen that's concerned. Just that's my story.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for joining, and you have very good questions. You're not the only one with the same questions, and Sarah, you can correct me if I say this incorrectly. We have a contracted amount with the sheriff's department. So the amount of money hasn't increased, even though we do have a lot of concern that revolves around Route 4. It isn't more money that we're spending it differently to improve the safety of our town. And while we have this change happening, we are trying to figure out a way to make the building safe for our employees while they work inside alone.
Can I just possibly clarify something? I don't know if you're aware, Route 4 is a state highway.
Sure.
We are not maintaining the road as far as salting or any of that stuff, plowing or any of that. We do have our law enforcement ticket on that highway, but there's no, am I saying this right, Sarah?
Yeah, that's correct. And I just wanted to clarify the fund that we're spending on the Rutland County Sheriff contract. It's their contract comes out of the general fund in their line item of their budget. Not to be confused with the highway fund, which is used for maintenance of the highway, and no public safety funds are being spent out of the highway fund.
Okay.
When we say highway fund, we mean not Route 4 as far as highway fund repairing the roads. We mean our general roads like Old Turnpike or a Wheelerville, those roads, not Route 4, correct, Sarah?
Right, municipal roads, not state highway. Yeah.
I just know that when Tift was around, God bless his soul, but when Tift was around, he kept a pretty tight hold on, the Mendon line. Nobody liked him. Nobody liked his stuff, but if you got a ticket from him, but he definitely kept everybody in line. So I was just concerned that, some of that was being taken away. I totally get the maintenance thing. Yeah, it's just super concerning. I drive to Killington on a regular basis. I don't want to die going through Mendon, especially in my town that I live in. So, yeah, I just kind of concerned about that and access to the town hall in general. So thank you for entertaining my questions. I'll probably continue to attend some meetings when you guys have them. If the link was more easily findable, that would be helpful for the public. It's hard to get involved if I don't know how to find the information. So yeah.
Donna, the agendas are posted on the website under the Selectboard minutes and agendas.
Yeah.
That agenda was also posted on Facebook. It just might have been buried in earlier threads because they posted the meeting with the Planning Commission after the agenda was posted last Friday, I believe it was.
Sure. I mean, I'll try to educate myself a little bit more on, the highway versus the sheriff. I do understand maintenance is its own thing, and you have to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. I get all that. But yeah, I mean, it'd just be nice to see a little bit more of a police presence on the roads, whatever they are, highway or town. The intimidation factor does work, whether you want to admit it or not. It does work. So, and I know you guys have your own concerns with the town hall, but I just wanted to make sure that like all the residents were being protected. I know you guys run the town in a manner, so you got to be protected too. But yeah, just some concerning articles brought me here, so I just wanted to see what was going on.
We were also told too that when a sheriff is not going to be on Route 4 or another road, that there is communication between the Vermont State Police and the sheriff's office, that they would help out and make
Sure.
up.
Yeah. I mean, I had a concerning incident a few weeks ago. We had a neighbor that had two very strange people come to their door. I live in a dead end neighborhood. It's total dead end. And it was just concerning. I called 911. They sent me to the sheriff's. The sheriff's really didn't care that I thought that a plate with there was a vehicle with unmatching plates in the front and back. And that they were casing the neighborhood. They went to somebody's door. They said they had hit the panic button in life. The woman answered the door. My neighbors came to me asking if I had seen the person. I don't know how to, I don't know if I call the sheriff directly. I know his number is online, but like when I call 911 and then I'm brushed off, were you directly threatened? No, I wasn't, but I'm concerned about a vehicle that has a loud muffler that's busted, two unmatched plates, a hood that doesn't match the car, and they didn't even want my information. I know Rutland's very overwhelmed, but as a resident, I don't feel like I had anywhere to turn. So then seeing the article with, the funding, it concerns me. I've never been concerned in Mendon ever. I've got cameras now. My neighbors have pulled up to me concerned. So it just, I just want to protect myself and my neighbors.
Donna, do you usually have, do you see patrol on your road?
I don't work from home or anything, so I do sometimes run home. I have a 15-year-old dog that needs me some days, so I have seen one drive through the neighborhood like once, but I'm not here all day. I don't have a camera on the road seeing who's patrolling. But yeah, extra patrol would help, but funding is only so much.
Well, yeah,
yeah. So I'm just concerned, and I don't want not to say what's down in Rutland to creep up here, but yeah, I don't want my house to be broken into. I don't have a security system. I just have cameras. So.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening to me. Thank you for entertaining my questions.
Under business, let's move on to the carving studio bench project. We have Shelley here and
Jennifer's here online too. They're on the phone.
And Jennifer, hi.
Hi.
So Mendon will not be responsible for any of the money that this involves. The Historical Society is willing to pick up any of the money that is associated with this bench. The sculpture study center, excuse me, if you don't know, you're just joining and this is the first time you're hearing about this bench, is in West Rutland, and local teens actually kind of free-spiritedly carved this bench, and the Historical Society would like to see the bench located at the office. And if Seth, Lisa, help me out. I was never opposed to this project or I think what we needed to talk about mostly was the location.
I'm not opposed to the project. I'm just very confused with the location is one thing, but I'm also confused at the fact that we have no input as to what's going to be placed on the bench as far as design, and being that we want it to be a quote memorial for serving people who served in the armed forces, and we have no input in that. What and the students get to choose the design,
I
where is the
think
memorial coming out of this?
I could explain that to you. This is Jennifer Bagley. I just talked to the carving studio, Olivia Gollett, who was at our meeting before. The carving studio in West Rutland is a very well-regarded place where professional artists who carve in stone have been working for a long time, and the carving studio has been trying to encourage teenagers from the different areas in Rutland County to learn how to simply carve a bench out of marble, and they've been doing it for several years. The Mendon Historical Society is willing to pay the town share, which would be up to $1,000. So there's nothing coming out of our budget. It's for teenagers 13 to 19, and they essentially learn how to carve stone with a top seat and two leg support, and learn how to put that all together. The Mendon Historical Society would really like to have it, and Ann Singheiser has sent a very good letter explaining all that, would like it to be placed next to the kiosk next to the town office, because that's our historical designated place of our town. And my understanding is that the teenagers who are learning how to carve stone are learning how to make a solid bench one can sit on. If we would like it to be designated to honor our veterans, the Historical Society could put a little plaque attached to the bench. I don't think we can ask teenagers who are just learning how to carve stone to carve anything very, very elaborate. The fun of it is just learning how to construct a really wonderful bench for people to sit on. That's my understanding. And I know Shelley has application forms that we could hand out, and it would be wonderful if some of the Mendon teens between those ages, 13 to 19, would like to do it. There are also other kids in Rutland County who join to help do a bench. So it doesn't necessarily just have to be done by teenagers from Mendon, although we would like to encourage that. So that's my understanding of how it would come about.
And I would just like to add, Lisa, if you're upset or if you're concerned about the way it's going to look, there are pictures on their website. I know Olivia brought a sheet, and I don't know if you got to see that. You weren't at the meeting she was at, but they're really very nicely done. I mean, it's not something that's going to be outlandish looking. They do a little bit of carving on them, but as Jennifer says, it's primarily a bench with two legs and perhaps a little bit of a design. But so I don't think it would be. I mean, if you're worried about how it's going to look, I think they all look very, very nice.
So was the Historical Society opposed to having a nice place at the Mendon Rec area, even made for the bench and maybe another piece of art in the future? I mean, to me, I just think benches should be sat on and appreciated. And given the amount of room where we're thinking at the town hall to have the bench, I can't imagine anybody parking there and sitting on it.
See, I think this is our hope that if there is a bench there, then perhaps people would pull in, because I have seen people stop and look at all of our signage. And, and especially if it's sat on the back and you could look out over the Bridges Farm, I think it's a very pretty area there. And I think that's our wish, that it would go there, that people would use it, that people would be able to see it. And if they had read the signage, they would sit down and enjoy that spot a little bit more. It's not that we're really opposed to the playing field. It's just that we don't feel that's our, we think
Yes.
of, it's not historic. I mean, it's not where the old town office was. It really doesn't have anything to
Right.
do with historical Mendon. And so that's our reasoning, is we would like it there, so it is with the signage. And so that's what it comes down to. If we're allowed to put it there, then we will take care of everything. If not, then I think we're going to have to say, yes, having something over at the playing field would be great, but the town could do any type of a bench or could even do their own thing with the carving studio if that's what they wanted. But we would really like to be able to have it included with our little kiosk signage there, because we're very proud of that, and we would like people to visit it a little bit more often than they do.
Right. I understand. I think we all understand that. I think that's where us hoping that it had more to do with Mendon should it be placed in the historical section of that parking lot? That's what we were hoping for. That's why we were and I know this was in the very beginning when the idea of the veterans, because we do have history here in Mendon, being a large part of that, I think would make a difference.
Well, and this whole thought kind of started with, I think Fred Bagley brought up the idea that, the honor roll is now inside the town hall because it was taken down from down where it was. And we briefly thought about an honor roll, but, you have so many issues with if you miss a name, or I remember West Rutland had a terrible time trying to come up with names for their gorgeous honor roll that they did. So that was our thought, was perhaps just have a plaque of some type honoring all those who've served from Mendon, and that's what the Historical Society would do with the bench at some point in time. So it would be in memory of them, marked in a fairly nice way, a fairly nice way, yeah, just with a little plaque of some type, yeah.
Okay.
So how much room? Is there room there? Sorry, Lisa. Is there plenty of room to have a bench by the sign?
Yes, there are at the request of the town, there are 2 sets of wooden stakes that were pounded in the ground before winter, one to the left of the kiosk and one to the right, and those would represent the size of the bench. There's plenty of room to have them be in one site or another. And if you look when you leave, if you go by the town office, you can see those 2 pieces of stakes in place. So there's plenty of room, and it might even encourage people to come read the kiosk, which was a big effort by the Historical Society and by, the history of the town and the map and everything else. So I think it's part of the historical part of our town that would really enhance that. And from what I'm talking to the carving studio, the teenagers who work there enjoyed so much, they come back in another year to do it again. And if it works out well and the town recreation committee would love to have one down at their recreation site, then maybe that's something we could do next year and just keep the benches coming. And they have encouraged our teenagers to do engage in something that's quite wonderful.
Thank you for that information. I just have a few concerns. First, is this a historical bench or a bench memorializing people in the service?
Well, the Historical Society is interested in promoting the history of the town, which is why we are sponsoring it. And so the bench would be a place to sit and look at the kiosk and everything. It would also be another way of remembering our veterans in town. It would be both things, and I think it could serve in both ways. And since the town Historical Society, that's why we got the idea in the first place. So I think it would serve those dual purposes just fine.
Okay, I may have been misled. I thought it was primarily, yes, the Historical Society was going to fund it and sponsor it, but that it was for the service people to represent them, memorialize them. So that's where my confusion comes in with that. Also, I did go on their website just now and look at a lot of their benches. They are beautiful benches. But if it's going to be a bench for history of Mendon and the service people, then the benches that they are carving don't represent either. So, like there's a dragon, there's a man holding up the bench with sun and flowers. There's something that looks like wood with eyes in it. There's another one that shows seashells. They're beautiful. I'm not going to say they're not, but they don't represent. If I looked at that bench and not have to look at the plaque, I wouldn't know what it was. And I understand that these are old designs and they'll be new, but we don't have an input in that. From what I understood, the woman said at that one meeting that she was here at, I asked her that specifically, do we get to put input in what the design is? And she said no.
Well,
that's my biggest concern with that. Another issue I have is putting the benches by the historical placards.
The kiosk, we call it.
The kiosk. I know that they plow snow in that area, and I would hate to see anything happen to those benches with them plowing, snow, they get covered with snow. You don't know where they are. They flag them. They could still damage them, nick them. That would be my main concern. Also, another thing is if it, so I really, if you just want to draw people to the kiosk, then maybe you should advertise it as, hey, Mendon town people, we have this, a little more advertising on it. As far as honoring the veterans or people in the military, maybe we could put a solar flagpole light down at the ball field and put a placard there, and we have a service over the summer, some kind of event in the summertime, and get the bench and dedicate the bench all at the same time. And wouldn't that be a wonderful way for the Historical Society to meet more people in the town of Mendon?
Well,
and maybe we should add first responders to that too, because not only are our military part of Mendon, but we also have some great law enforcement people, past and present. Wait.
Have you had a chance to see the letter that Ann Singheiser sent to the select board with regard to this?
Yeah.
She sent a letter to Val, I believe, and she sent a copy. You probably need to read it because there's a lot of your questions that would be answered. One of the things that, and if you don't know the history of the carving studio and you don't remember the history of how marble played a part in this part of Rutland, if you don't have a sense of what the Mendon Historical Society has been doing, the kiosk is now at the site where the old town hall used to be. We worked really hard to try to preserve that building. The marble benches are outside in every place they have been placed. They're made out of marble. They withstand winter snow just fine. They're not ever intended to be inside. So I think a lot of your concerns, which I appreciate, I don't think apply to this case. And I think Shelley would agree with me that if a town select board decides that they want the bench only at the rec department, then we would withdraw our offer to pay for it and let the recreation committee come up with the money.
Okay, thank you.
I think in the beginning, we just got excited when we were told that it was going to revolve around the veterans, and it just changed. I'm not going to oppose the bench being at the town hall. We have more pressing issues at hand, to be honest. If you want to put it there and hope that people will sit in it, that's great. I honestly was a little excited to start. We have a nice spot at the rec that we could start a little place for art pieces. We don't have to. I'm just going to move on with this. Seth, in case there you are. Hi. If you have anything to say, otherwise I'll make a motion to have the bench there at the town hall and we can move on.
Val, I would like to just chime in real quick point. Maybe I'm confused, but doesn't the bench and the marble carvings have to do with the kids as well? Isn't there like a purpose based on that too?
Well, the children are learning how to carve in West Rutland at the carving studio, and it's more of I think a free expression. I don't believe they're told what to carve.
Okay, so that's our concern. Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. Let's move on.
I'll make a motion do you need a motion for that, Sarah, to have the bench placed at the town hall? How did you put the markers in? Was that help with Bill, from Bill, to make sure that it won't be harmed?
No, we requested that they place the stakes in 2 different locations that they wish to install the bench.
Okay.
It would be beneficial to look at those 2 sites right now, as I think there's they're both, the approach is covered up with snowbanks right now. We have had difficulties maintaining the parking lot. When there was a building there, the former town hall, snow was piled to the left of where the kiosk is now, and snow was piled up, which was fairly difficult on the hill to the right of where the building was, which right now there's a little garden on the right-hand side of the driveway there. Since the building has been taken down, they've been plowing the snow straight on into the vacant area. So this is something to discuss with the road commissioner on where we feel we can deposit snow. Just a few inches of snow is not a big deal, but once we start getting into the winter with a foot or more of snow, there's no room to put it.
All right, so can we attach that to the motion with approval of the road commission? Shelley, you're muted.
I'm sorry. So when we put and I think Fred actually put the stakes in, Jennifer can correct me if I'm wrong, we put one right in line with the signage so the plow can just go that way. And then we put another one in the back depending on how they wanted to. But yes, if, the installation can be done where the town or where the road people certainly think it's best. We have no issue with that.
I mean, we do have a bucket loader too. So, I mean, the town garage isn't too far away. So, if snow gets really stacked up, wouldn't take long to push it and move it to wherever you want, really. You could take it over and dump it over the bank. Sarah, you said there's a garden there, though. That's an issue?
I mean, the garden, it hasn't been maintained in a while, but it's in the location of where the area that they deposited snow prior to the building coming down.
Got you. I see.
We can't push the snow too much over the bank though, Seth, because it's in the state's right of way.
Route 4,
so
yeah.
We do have, we do that kind of up on the hill a little bit more, but down close to the road, that's going to, interfere with the visibility of pulling out onto Route 4. And so that just needs to be taken into consideration. It's not necessarily a deterrent, for not placing, but it just has to be part of the input. We certainly wouldn't want to put the bench in an area that it's going to get hit by the plows, or in an area that doesn't allow us room for depositing snow, because adding to the maintenance of the driveway is not really that feasible.
Yeah. Yep,
of removing snow from the location. That would be labor intensive.
Yep. Agreed.
So by means, Val has a motion on the floor that would approve the bench project with a location input from the road commissioner.
Meaning a location within the town parking lot, that area where the historical signs are.
Yes.
I'll second that.
To the parking lot.
I nay.
Okay. All in favor?
I need that.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate this. And thank you for all you're going through too. I'm going to sign off now, and I'll let Ann know and let the carving studio know that we can be on track. Thank you.
Okay, thank you as well.
And let me just add, this is Jennifer, that if we get Mendon kids who are going to be working at the carving studio, I'm sure that some of us that are artistically inclined could go down and talk to the kids and make sure that the way the bench is designed will be clear that it's honoring veterans, whatever that means, I'm not sure. And I just want to add my support to all the select people working under very difficult circumstances, and you have our support, and whatever we can do to help you, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could just clarify the motion for the minutes. So Val moved, Seth, you seconded, and was it unanimously approved or
No.
you abstained? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the budget. Did everyone have a chance to look over the budget? Do we have questions regarding? Sarah gave a quick briefing via email today of some changes that we had.
I have one question, and that is probably because I am not knowledgeable in budgets. Where did we get the cost of living increase is 3.2% for 2024? Where did that come from?
That comes from Social Security Administration. So and that's publicized usually in late December or early January every year.
Okay, so that's nationwide? Is that Vermont?
No,
Vermont
that's
or
national.
nationwide?
No, that's the national. That's national.
When I did check this morning, the Vermont cost of living, and I could be doing it wrong, it said it was 2-point-something% for Vermont. I believe that's what they said. I could double check that. And I was wondering, the increase in salaries, if it's going to be at 3%, that would be more than what the Vermont cost of living is. Is that something we can check and come back to tomorrow or something?
Yeah, we still have one more budget meeting that we have one more meeting that it has to be approved. So we certainly do have a little bit of time to follow up on that. If you could send me your source information, so I can take a look at that, and I can forward you the national one.
Okay. Now, why would we use the national one when we're here in Vermont? Why wouldn't we use the Vermont cost of living? I don't know this.
I wasn't aware that they had a Vermont specific cost of living increase. That's why I wanted to take a look at your information.
Yeah, and I could be wrong, like I said. Another question I have is the Rutland County taxes. They're presenting a decrease of 6%.
Yep.
Right? What does that mean?
In their budget, they're representing a 6% decrease. We are still waiting for the number for the equalized grand list, which will help us calculate what the budget is as it reflects to Mendon. I believe Nancy has received that number, but I have not been able to calculate that yet. So we do expect that will go down as long as our equalized grand list remains similar to last year.
I think Donna listed a web link for something. Is that 2.2% was the
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a 3%. I mean, I just Googled it real quick. It's not hard to Google stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, COLA notice, cost of living increases effective January 1st, state of Vermont, January 1st, 2024, 2.2 to 1.0 for Group E, whoever that is, if you're retired. I don't see a 3% or whatever the 3.2 mentioned anywhere.
Yeah, that's where I was looking also. It had to do with employees and what their cost of living was for the thing. And like I said, it could be the wrong information I have, which is possible. And then I think those were, oh, and then something I had, and maybe this has been rectified between now and the last paperwork I had was, and this is only off the top of my head, the Rutland library. Were they asking for more money or something?
A slight increase.
And did we ever find out how many people in Mendon use their library and why we pay so much?
Almost
did
half.
Yeah.
What?
I did
Almost
receive
half
some
offended.
specific
Sorry.
information of them having approximately 450 library cards for Mendon.
Right, but how many use them? I have a library card, I don't use it. I could have 10, we could have 1,000 library cards, and if only one person uses it, is it cost effective to be spending that much money on a library that maybe how many people use?
He just describes that as active cards.
Right, but that's not how many visits. You know, I can have, like I said, 1,000 active cards, and you only use 10 people use it, and you know, usage versus active cards are not the same. They're two different things. So that's something I really would like to look into, because, you know, especially, you know, we want to try to make sure that we have a tight budget here.
Sarah and I did add that to the goals and objectives list for this following year because it is so, well, it's the end of the year. And I do have questions also. I'd like to dig into that a little more. That'll be a goal for this year, just so that we all have a better idea of where that money goes. Does that sound good? You're muted. Because they're depending on that money right now, that it would be too late.
They're depending on it?
Every town, yeah.
I'm going to sound mean, but if I don't know how tight our budget's going to be, but if we have a tight budget, it's the duty of the people on the select board and stuff to make sure that we have enough of a cushion in our budget. So if that means cutting somebody who's depending on money that is not directly town related, yes, 400 people have cards at the Rutland Library, but maybe only 10 people go. I don't know. To me, I can't see 400 people utilizing the Vermont Library. I just can't. Maybe having cards like I do, but I don't use it. I have Google. You know, so that's, and I understand that, you know, it's a history thing and this whole, you know, thing, but you know, that's my concern about them. And if we have to cut their budget this year because we need to cut other things, well, that's all right. We can do that. That's something we have to do as having a financially sound budget for going into next year. That was one of the reasons why I asked when they were doing I don't know the word we used, the proposal for being funded, all of these organizations, let them verify and justify that this money that they're getting every time is being actually used for the people of Mendon and what they say for. You know, what is that called, Sarah, that process?
The appropriation process?
That's it, that's why I was wanting that to be something that they did this year. Request the money, tell us what they used it for and what they're going to use it in the future for. Just giving people money without any justification is insane. I know it's now way too late to do that for this budget, but I think if we have to cut budget money to increase something somewhere else, or we have a law enforcement issue, we have a safety issue within the town itself, maybe we take money from other non-Mendon organizations and use it for that. And there was one other thing, but I'm going to let it lay with this now because I think that's an overload. Oh, the bus. That was my other question. The bus. Do we have any statistics on that and how much money we give them and what are we giving it to them for?
So let me go back to the library for a second just to let you know, and I'm going to forward you some information. The library does send us their budget. So we had that request, or, you know, we had that with their request. primarily Rutland City, Rutland Town, and Mendon fund a majority of the budget of the Rutland Free Library, and the amount that we pay is based on per capita, not on the number of library cards issued, but it is based on per capita. They present their budget increase or decrease every year. It's typically an increase. And it goes to the Board of Aldermen in Rutland City. If the Board of Aldermen reduces what they're requesting, then they also reduce their request to Mendon and Rutland Town. So that's been the procedure for a number of years. We certainly can look into answering further questions about what they're spending their money on and why their budget is increasing by 4%. And then the bus is, so the library is an appropriation that is built into our budget. It's something that we've determined is a service for Mendon, and we, as the select board, you include that in the general fund budget. The bus is handled as an appropriation requiring a petition, requiring a petition signed by 5% of the voters to get their article on the ballot, and then it's approved by the voters at town meeting. The select board has, since COVID, waived the petition requirement as long as the organization is not requesting an increase, and then they're included in the warning and approved by the voters or not approved by the voters at town meeting. The bus does or has in the past submitted the number of riders or number of stops in Mendon, and I will check on that information and forward it to you if they've submitted it for this year. The tricky part with the requiring the petition is we ask them for their budget and their user amounts, but we don't necessarily get those every year, I don't believe. I have to look at the information that they provided to us. But I'll follow up with that, Lisa. And Donna had her hand raised again, if Donna wanted to speak on the budget.
Yeah, I was more just gonna mention the cost of living thing, but you guys saw. I didn't know if you were seeing the chat or not. Number one, I just wanted to say that I couldn't find the link on the website. I know you said it was there, but or on the Facebook, it just links you to the Mendon town site. Like it's not direct. I wouldn't have been able to find this meeting if I didn't jump into the other meeting, and they directed me how to find this. So as a somebody that wants to get involved, it's pretty hard to get involved if I can't find the information. The cost of living thing was number two. And then I just made another comment that, I mean, some of this sounds like conflict of interest and ethics. And I know that was mentioned a little maybe abruptly in the beginning, but I have a computer in front of me. I can Google. It appears to me that there was a conflict of interest, repealed. And the one that replaced it has nothing. It doesn't meet the state requirements. So anyway, I'll look into that on my own time, but those are the three things I just had to mention. So I'm not trying to stir the pot anymore or get any more, anything, but I mean, I'm just trying to educate myself here. So I've lived in the town a long time. I've paid a lot of taxes with all the deaths on Route 4. I mean, there's been multiple deaths. I know it's the highway and it's not this, whatever you were, determining the difference, but it is in the town and there's deaths happening and I don't want to die. And, so there's some concerning things here. Anyway, I'm sorry to, be here and stir, anything, but here I am.
Donna, if I could say something about I hear a lot of talk about safety on the roads. It is Route 4, it is a state highway. We could fight. We will fight for it. We're not just folding up and saying, oh, we can't do anything. I mean, we're concerned as well. I have children, family. I mean, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, and I see all of these things happen. I have a scanner. I listen to everything that happens, and it's scary. But it is true that we are fighting the state on this. and it's not going to be an easy battle. It's not like we're just neglecting it. As of right now, we're trying to do a budget so we can afford just to live in our town. As we're speaking of, there's so many things going on right now, situations that we're dealing with. It's just hard to harness one and actually make a difference at the moment. But
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
We are working on that.
I lived here when Tift was here, and his
Yeah.
presence made a difference. So, Tift is gone. He's not coming back. But the intimidation factor does work. I do drive Mendon all the time. I don't see the Mendon Town Cop, so I'm just here concerned. So.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's the drivers, honestly. From what I've seen, it's crazy.
Yeah, drivers are crazy everywhere. I'm from outside of Philly. Drive 76. It's super dangerous, but intimidation works. So anyway, I don't want to keep going on it. I appreciate that you're trying. I don't really understand what you say. The state's holding you back. Maybe I can look into that a little more. And if I do have to dig into the agendas every time to find the go-to meeting, that's fine. But it'd be nice if the public knew that somehow, because I really didn't know how to come to this meeting. I joined the other one.
Donna, we have been in touch with VTrans more than once, and I guess the latest, and trying to have conversations. We've had conversations with Rutland Town and Killington via email about reducing the speed, but we did get a recommendation to, it's kind of a baby step thing, maybe start with requests for like flashing lights, which is also, it's not a form of intimidation, but it's something that you see, and it's a response around our larger intersections. One of our concerns is the Meadow Lake, Park Lane, even Turnpike, Cream Hill. There's a lot of places that we need speed somehow. We just need drivers aware. We need drivers aware that people live. It's not all commercial. It is a process. We are in a process of writing letters, getting responses, and unfortunately, it takes time.
Yeah, I hear you, and I know that the big sign went up. There is that big digital sign. I'm sure that cost the town a good piece of money. I don't know. Again, I don't know the differentiation between the state or the town.
I think that's the state.
Okay, so then the state put some money in to have that sign up, but they put how many in other countries? They put black lungs on a smoking pack because that scares you. So, Mendon, or not Mendon, but Route 4 has seen this many deaths. Drive slow. It works, but
yeah,
anyway.
We're all scared. We're trying.
I know.
We are.
Yeah,
and we appreciate your feedback. Don't feel bad about talking about your concerns. It's important, and it keeps us motivated. Like Seth said, there is a lot going on, and we're doing our best. We are. I can honestly say that we're really trying, and we have been trying for a long time. There's a lot of committees involved in Route 4.
Yep. And sometimes it takes public outcry to make a difference. So I'm just, here I am and trying to do my best.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anything else we're still on the budget.
Yeah. Can I say something can I just say something quick, Val, on the budget? I just wanted Lisa to understand too, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have another library around here. So we utilize that library as our own, our children's children. And myself personally, I don't want people to rely on Google. I don't think it's a proper way to be going with society right now. So some people really, whether you use it today or use it tomorrow or use it 10 years from now, the problem is in these areas, you take funding from a library like that, then it's gone. And it's not coming back. So I just wanted to, just keep you educated upon what it is in this area. You know what I mean? In Rutland,
I 100% agree with you, Seth, that a book is 100% better than Google, because I read books. But I don't use the library because it's not convenient for me. Although I have a library card, it's not convenient for me. That's just me personally. I just want to
Right.
know that a town of how many people, Sarah, do we have?
Just under 1,000.
Under 1,000 people, and we're paying over $27,000 a year for the library. That's
Agreed,
over
agreed.
almost $30-something a person, including people who don't use the library. So if only
Mhm.
400 people, so now take 30,000 divided by 400 is what? That's how many, that's how much per person is using that library.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so you're talking like $70, right? What would it be, Sarah? 27,590 divided by 400.
I got to get my calculator out.
You know,
I totally agree. I agree with you
And
too,
all
Lisa.
I'm
I see your
saying is-
point.
$70.
how much?
It was $70. That was a great guess.
Right. So
Nice
at
job.
$70 a person, that, to me, that's a lot of money when we don't even know that 400 people are utilizing it. My husband and I, that's two right out of that 400. So now you're talking 398. So and you're not using it. How many times a year did your kid use it? Now, for them to continuously increase their budget, and we have to foot it. Not saying that we shouldn't. I'm just saying that this is something that for next year, obviously this year we can't do anything. And we have to really look at this because their increase is $1,000 plus. Yeah, okay, $1,000 not a lot of money. $1,000 for every line item adds up to a lot of money at the end. That's all I'm trying to say is we really need to look at this and say, what is the best for the town? You know what? That's on them that they can't fund their own budget. Get grants. We're getting grants for our funding. Are we not, Sarah, looking to offset budget with grants? We're pounding out trying to get grants. So I'm just saying, you know, it says free library. Yes, I understand the town pays for it and nobody pays to use the library. That's great. But you know what? I would love to know what their total budget is and what they spend it on. That's all I'm saying, you know, and we didn't get that this year. So maybe next year we're going to have to look tighter at them.
Absolutely. I agree with that. We do need to know that information. You know, I totally agree. And obviously we need to crunch our numbers. There's no doubt about it.
I will get that information for the select board. I don't want to say they haven't submitted it because I don't have that information in front of me. They may have submitted their budget and I don't want to say that they haven't. So let me follow up on that and I'll get back to you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I have a summary. But I don't have the individual breakdown. Okay, any other questions with the budget? Did anything else stand out that anybody had any questions with? We had an increase in the sheriff's 10%, their salary. Were there any other numbers that anybody wanted to go over? The road commissioner salaries changed. This also brings the health insurance numbers up. But did we have any further questions?
How much are we spending on the sheriff to be at the town office?
Within the contracted amount, I don't have that number right in front of me.
For 2 days?
The numbers haven't changed, Brian. They're just being used differently.
Is that
Yeah,
for
we have a contract.
personal protection just for a couple of people?
No,
We
for
have a
every
contract
volunteer and every person that goes into the town hall.
How about the employees that are not working at the town hall? Do they get any protection?
Any further questions?
Uh,
So that's personal protection.
yeah,
Just for
I do.
whoever.
Where was it here? Hold on, let me just see where I was looking. Oh, our continuing ed budget. Do we need to increase that a little more than what we have since we have more staff? We only increased it by $1,500. We have new staff, and should we, you see, that's what I'm trying to say, like, take it from the library and increase for our town, our own town. You know, that would be, to me, more important, adding an extra $1,000 to that than they're 27 now. Keep them at 26. You see what I'm saying?
I do think that the $1,500 is appropriate. We do have 3 new employees that are going to require additional continuing training. However, some of the training that they will attend is provided by Vermont Local Roads at or VTrans at no cost to us, and some are going to be dues that are similar to like $30 per workshop. So for this, and there's a lot of online trainings that don't require funding. So for this upcoming year, we did feel that the $1,500 increase was sufficient.
Okay.
We'll continue to take a look at that for next year as well.
Okay, and just one other question, and I may have missed why our computer services went up like $6,000. Is that for the new computer system and stuff that we're getting for the garage and stuff?
No, not for the garage. No,
Okay.
that's the new computer system of the digitalization of the land records and keeping everything online and up to date.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed we have some decreases too, so it's not all spending, just, to put it out there.
Yeah. So overall, the presented budget that you see in front of you right now, let me just pull out those numbers. I apologize. It was sent to you in that email, so let me just pull that out so I can read it to you with the overall summary.
So the revenue was up 9%. Do you have it, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's the information that I did want to provide to them. So if you have it right in front of you.
The expenses are up 5.1. The overall budget increased 3.91%. The quick explanation in the following paragraph. Not a huge difference.
No, considering the budget increases that we were facing, that was mitigating that as much as possible.
Seth, did you have any questions?
Well, no, not at the moment. I don't. I mean, I know we're running out of time here on questions, but most of my questions that I've had, well, honestly, have been answered as by everybody else anyway. So,
Anything else you wanted to input, Sarah, before we move on?
No, just the timing of this. So at the next meeting, you'll be signing the warning, which will include the final budget amounts. So I will get you the information that you've requested this evening. If there's any other numbers that you want information on, you need to send that to me as soon as possible so that we are prepared to adopt the budget to be warned for town meeting at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. And I see here on the chats, there's Donna had some questions, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I do see the cost of living thing. I see what you posted.
So yeah, the state
I'll look into it.
the state
Yeah.
number was certainly not ignored at all. It was
Okay.
I wasn't aware that the state treasurer sent out a COLA. We've always just used the federal national COLA increase.
Okay.
And
I just wasn't sure about the 3 new positions, so that's all.
and then
The
2 of the 3 highway positions have been hired. We advertise mainly on Indeed for those positions. We published them in 2 of them in the Rutland Herald and only received 2 applications based on advertising in the Rutland Herald, which also posted online. But Indeed, we received upwards of 40
And didn't we
applicants.
send a mailing out to all the residents? Wasn't there a card or something that said something about hiring?
It was included in the tax bills, a notice that we would be hiring, posted on our website and Facebook page, Front Porch Forum, and with VLCT to go to all municipalities.
Okay, thank you for answering. I was just curious. It's just
Sure.
sometimes I look on the Mendon website and there's nothing there, so I wouldn't have known to look on Indeed also, so maybe on the Mendon hiring page, it might be helpful to send the link to Indeed.
Yeah.
I do have a question on can somebody explain the stipend changes from going from stipends to?
Yep. So we have been in a trend of moving away from stipends, which is a stipend is just a set amount of money for doing particular tasks versus an hourly rate per hour for hours worked. So with the transition of the highway department, we hired on the new employees with a job description and a rate per hour for doing that job description, moving away from the additional stipend. So so the stipends have been incorporated into regular rates per hour. Timesheets are submitted and payment is paid based on hours worked.
Okay. How did that all happen? Did I miss that?
It happened when we hired our new employees. So we hired a new road commissioner. Instead of receiving a road commissioner stipend, they are receiving a rate per hour for doing the job function of the road commissioner.
So that goes into their annual salary. Let's say it's $50. The $50 goes into their annual salary, and then they're taxed on it and everything else like normal. But their benefits also are based on that increase. With the stipend, there were no benefits or anything like that, because the stipend is non-benefited, but this one is now benefit the money, right? There's a difference now. Like if they get a COLA raise, a cost of living raise, they didn't get it on the stipend, but they're going to get it now because we put the stipend into their salary, correct?
That is correct, but there's further justification that as they do work for you, you're compensating them.
Right. I agreed with changing it to get rid of the stipends, because there was 30 people with stipends, or not 30, but there was quite a few people with stipends not needed.
What was the purpose of the stipends to begin with? Why were they there to begin with?
Well, so they've existed for decades. So I think, and we had a road commissioner that worked for us for 40 years. So It was an opportune time to move away from the stipends as we replaced that position. But it was, our former road commissioner was the road foreman. He managed all of the day-to-day operations of the highway department, and he also participated in road commissioner work, which was, there's job tasks to that is more budgetary, policy driven, participating in the financial planning for future projects, which that stipend was to pay for. It just seems to make sense to make sure that we're compensating for the number of hours worked and not have this overarching stipend paying for, the certain duties. The job description has the specific duties that you are paying for per hour worked.
But also, okay, go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, go ahead, Seth.
Well, I'm just still trying to catch it all here. So we have, Chris is hired kind of the way the positions are broken down now. So Chris is ultimately there specifically to take care of like grants and, budgetary, clerical ends of the highway department, correct? Which we didn't have before, really? Is that what I know there was.
No, the job hasn't changed. The job hasn't changed. The skill set of the particular individuals that hold the job, certainly, there are different qualifications that our former road commissioner has that our new road commissioner doesn't, and vice versa. There's better qualifications on one end than the other. So ultimately, the job description has not changed, and the road commissioner has always provided input in the grants and the projects that we would be doing. And I submitted. I mainly was responsible for drafting and submitting grant applications, and that's not gonna change. The road commissioner will still have input into what those details are going to be, or if we need an engineer to provide details in different grant funds. There's certainly additional grant opportunities now that didn't exist in the past. Typically, the town would receive 2 to 3 grants per year, and we are upwards of 11 grants over the course of the last 2 years. So they've significantly increased, and the road commissioner absolutely will need to provide input. For example, the structures in the Class 2 roadway grants will be due in April. I will need him to provide information going out to get quotes from contractors on what the new paving rates are going to be, in order for us to put together a competitive application for the Class 2 roadway grant, and help determine what, under the structures program, we usually apply to replace a large culvert. And he would be instrumental in providing detailed information on what components go into that application.
Okay.
And also, I noticed, just using this, the road commissioner stipend did not have to be, say, Bill. It could have been someone else, correct?
Yeah, it depends on what you hire as a job.
Right.
It's a little different in other towns that have an elected road commissioner versus an appointed road commissioner. We've had an appointed road commissioner, so the select board has a little bit more control over what the job duties of a road foreman is and a road commissioner. In small towns, typically they're one and the same person. They're not separate people. In larger towns, they might be, you might have a road commissioner position and a road foreman position and multiple road crew positions underneath that, equipment operators and mechanics and road crew personnel. In small towns, you typically have a road commissioner, which is a working foreman and a working member of your road crew. That does help facilitate that budgetary input to the town administrator, town manager, or select board as they prepare the budgets.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Can I just ask where to find the budget so I can just take a look at it for the future? Like,
Yeah.
obviously there had to be a 23-24 proposed budget, right? Somewhere posted.
Yep. So the town reports, I'll put a link in the chat too. The town reports are printed or posted on the website. So let me just pull that out for you.
Yeah, thank you. I
But
appreciate
it would
it.
be in the town report.
Okay, I can find it. I mean, I'm pretty savvy, but it's just a lot of stuff is buried, so I just don't know where to look. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, if we don't have any further questions, business, letter C, articles for town meeting.
So just as an overview, I don't have any, unless you guys have some input, I don't have any special articles for town meeting this year. Last year we created the new town or the community center reserve fund in a separate article. So I only have that we would be doing appropriations and the approval of the budget.
I have nothing to add.
So again, the
I'm good.
timeline on this is you'd sign the warning at the next meeting in order, to meet our statutory deadlines of warning the meeting before a town meeting. We do have to discuss the location of town meeting. So we have formally, last year, we had it at the VTrans building. We could request having it there again. The year before, we had it at the town garage. So it depends on what your preference is and if the room is going to be available to us at VTrans. Your town meeting is required to be held within the town of Mendon boundaries. So our options are limited.
I have no preference. Where whatever is chosen would be perfect for me, either the garage or VTran.
I thought VTrans was convenient. There was plenty of parking. I think we were nervous about that. That was like the number one concern. I think it's easy to find. The space seemed to be perfect for the turnout. It was just my opinion maybe to start there, and if it's not available, that we can use the town garage.
Val, I agree with you, and I thought it was nice and it was convenient. The one thing I think a little bit too, though, is the town garage, even though it is a giant building and maybe parking might be tight, I think it's good for people to see it. You know what I mean? And be reminded of what goes on there and just,
Yeah.
VTrans is, it's a VTrans building, it's
Right.
but
Yeah.
and you're totally right, Val. I'm not
No,
disagreeing with
either
you.
way, I don't.
Just kind of like a hoorah thing, you know what I mean?
I didn't mind it at the. There's a restroom. It was handicap accessible. The garage, everything is there too, either way.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe
So
it'll be snowing.
Well, and that's the concern with the garage. So if it's snowing at the
Right.
garage, we're interrupting municipal operations on the vehicles getting in and out and getting salt and sand and whatnot in the yard. So that
Right.
is a considering factor when you go and have the meeting at the garage. At the same time, it's only for a short period of time. Town meeting is usually only 2 hours, but we want to make sure that we can still do our operation safely. I don't know if the V-Trans building is going to be available, but I'll take a look at that first. And if it's not available, then we'll go to the garage. And then I have been asked by a resident whether we're going to have a remote option to attend town meeting. And I have to look at, depending on where the space is, whether we have the technical capability of providing a remote option.
Any further comment, question here regarding the articles or location for town meeting?
Sarah's responding to me, but I don't see a budget anywhere for 2023. There's only, the last town report is 2022. I would assume it would be in the 23 budget.
So the town report for 2023 hasn't been written yet. That would come out probably the third week of February. So
how would I find the budget?
The budget that we're in currently, our current year's budget, is posted in that report, in the 2022 report.
Okay, and when does the budget end? But you guys are voting on a new one.
Right. The proposed budget has not been published yet, but I can send you a copy of that.
Well, I mean, I feel like it should be for the town public. I don't know.
So I can have Jesse post that on the website.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the only one that needs it. Like, everybody in the town should have that information. Just as a town resident, I don't need to see it once it's passed. I need to see it when it's coming to budget to vote. Even if I don't have a say in it, I still have the right to see it.
No, you do have a say in it. You're a voter and you approve it at town meeting. So the proposed budget that's being proposed is just what the select board is proposing for town meeting. At town meeting, you're able to amend and approve or disapprove the budget. So our budget is passed solely by the voters that attend town meeting.
Okay, and when is the town meeting day, please?
What's that?
When is the town meeting?
The town meeting is the first Monday in March.
And if you're not there, you do not get to vote, Donna.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct. The budget is voted from the floor.
Okay.
And town meeting would be on Monday, March 4th.
All right, and that's you guys are discussing the location of that, obviously, between Yeah, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, all this information would be great if it was posted for the public. I know you guys kind of changed websites over the last year. I saw the old one. I see the new one. But, yeah, I mean, as a town resident, it'd be nice to have this information.
They posted 3 days before the March meeting.
That's not true. So it's required that we follow statutory posting requirements for the town meeting, and those are followed annually.
Since when do you follow
thank you.
any statutes?
Let Sarah talk.
I'll look to see it. Thank you. Yeah, I'll look to see if it's posted. All right. Thanks. I'll look for it.
Moving on to certificate of highway mileage.
So I did email this to you. Typically, this is adopted annually, your certificate of highway mileage. Traditionally, you don't usually have any changes. This past year, the state did some measurement calculations and have included a remeasured amount on Notch Road Extension, which is Northam Road, Falls Road, and the Clark Mason Road, which is included in your certificate. This has to be readopted annually by February 10th by the select board, and it is certified by the town clerk and then sent to the state. Does
Any
the board
questions?
have any questions?
I do not.
So I request a motion to approve the certificate of highway mileage, and then if you could stop in on Thursday to sign it so that we can have it certified, that would be perfect.
I make a motion to approve the certificate of highway mileage for 2024.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
That wouldn't be 2024-25, would it? Just 2024?
Yeah, it year ending February 10th, 2024.
Aye.
So that's
Okay.
unanimous approval.
And we can adjourn the meeting at 7:06. Thank you.